The air inside the global financial atmosphere tonight crackles with a tension akin to static electricity before a major storm. Within the DNR investment community, the atmosphere is equally charged, almost electric, as thousands sense a historic shift quietly unfolding behind closed doors. Banks are reportedly operating with unusual procedures, systems are falling silent, and investors, both small and large, feel the eerie calm that inevitably precedes a massive, life-altering event. Standing at the epicenter of this anticipation is a single, resonant voice. Frank, 26. His messages have served as a compass, guiding and challenging thousands through years of market uncertainty. Just days ago, his latest broadcast sent a seismic shockwave through the entire currency world. His words were not offered lightly. They were deliberate, measured, and profoundly unsettling, he declared. We are entering the week of confirmation. In the wake of this statement, the entire dynamic changed. On Telegram channels, financial networks, and in private investor circles. Those 6 words ignited an invisible countdown, a clock that everyone can feel ticking, signaling that something monumental is imminent. And this time, the feeling is genuinely different. From the moment Frank's message was disseminated, the very rhythm of the Dinar community underwent a dramatic shift. Telegram groups, which normally buzzed with endless rumor and speculation, suddenly turned focused, unified, and utterly silent, waiting for the shoe to drop. Simultaneously, posts on X, formerly Twitter, began flooding timelines with cryptic messages, screenshots, intense whispers that several banks had initiated unscheduled after-hours lockdowns. Reports emerged from currency trainers citing unusual transaction freezes, and even small online exchanges began to delay Iraqi Dinar IQD conversions without offering clear public explanations. Behind their screens, investors' emotions were running high, a volatile mix of fear, profound hope, disbelief, and electrifying excitement. For countless years, investors have chased the faint outlines of the long-promised Revaluation RV that could change lives overnight. But Frank's warning, with its distinct tone of conviction, felt unmistakably different. He spoke not as one repeating speculation, but as a man observing the real-time movement of history. This subtle, powerful difference is precisely why the world of IQD holders is glued to their screens tonight. The energy only intensified as scattered, unofficial reports began to trickle in from inside Iraq itself. Sources that had been reliably silent for many months suddenly began to stir and speak again. Discreet conversations among regional bankers, leading economists, and seasoned traders hinted that a massive financial coordination effort was being quietly undertaken. Meetings were reportedly taking place late into the night, and communications between Baghdad and key international financial partners had conspicuously ramped up. For the first time in over a decade, the pattern appeared organized and almost perfectly synchronized. Seasoned observers noted an unusual alignment involving the Central Bank of Iraq's CBI, major financial consultancies based in Dubai and London, and key Western clearing systems. Each small, meticulous movement seemed to point toward one inevitable possibility. Iraq's financial network was preparing for full global integration. This step is the non-negotiable prerequisite that must occur before any rate realignment can become global reality. For seasoned watchers, this was not just another rumor. It was the first tangible sign in a decade that execution was actually beginning. Meanwhile, back in the United States, bank insiders started to quietly whisper about a phenomenon they had never encountered before: enhanced foreign currency readiness. This specialized internal phrase used within financial institutions signals that critical systems are being adjusted for potential imminent rate updates or for new access restrictions. One mid-level manager at a large U.S. bank reportedly informed colleagues that all IQD transactions had been temporarily and unilaterally paused. No public explanation was provided, but the instruction was clearly handed down from a very high level. Information like this, once it begins to spread, never remains hidden for long. Within mere hours, the story had rippled throughout all major investor forums. The collective message was impossible to ignore. Something fundamental behind the financial curtain had decisively shifted. When these private whispers aligned perfectly with the precise timing of Frank 26's broadcast, the community erupted in speculation. Could this truly be the final stage before the public confirmation? Could this be the week that finally puts an end to years of persistent waiting? Frank's ominous words, this week changes everything, suddenly began to sound less like a prediction and more like a prophecy about to be fulfilled. To fully grasp the depth of this warning's impact, one must understand the emotional history behind it. For over a decade, the dinar community has been trapped in punishing cycles of heightened anticipation, inevitably followed by bitter disappointment moments where hope soared only to violently crash under the weight of another delay or outright denial. Yet, throughout this entire period, Frank has remained a remarkably steady voice, carefully balancing genuine faith with essential realism, guiding his listeners through every labyrinthine twist in Iraq's complex reform journey. His unique credibility stems not from simple hype, but from a long and proven track record of historical accuracy, calm corrections, and consistently verifiable clues. Therefore, when he speaks in that particular tone, low, deliberate, almost reverent, people listen with a fundamentally different focus. They don't simply hear another update, they recognize a signal. That is precisely what happened this week. Because for Frank to label this time the week of confirmation means that the most critical decision-making has already occurred behind the scenes. The public paperwork may not yet be released, but the undeniable momentum of execution has already begun. In Baghdad, unusual and telling scenes have been unfolding under the cover of darkness. Reports describe intense midnight activity at the central bank headquarters. Cars arrive at highly irregular hours, security has been visibly tightened, and lights are burning long past closing time in executive offices. Staff members have reportedly been seen entering through heavily guarded side gates, and unmarked vehicles have been spotted making late-night deliveries of sealed briefcases. While none of this is official, every sign strongly points toward a deep state of preparation. The Iraqi government, too, has gone conspicuously quiet. Prime Minister al-Sudani, who was vocal about financial reform earlier this year, has not made a public statement in weeks. To those in the know, this silence is not a coincidence. It is the calculated, strategic quiet that always precedes major announcements when any premature word could dangerously move global markets. Meanwhile, a few local journalists in Baghdad are delicately hinting that major television networks have been given quiet orders to prepare for emergency economic broadcasts. The air in Iraq feels tense and hyper-focused, as if the entire national system is holding its collective breath. And across the ocean, investors are doing exactly the same. Frank's stream that night carried a specific tone unlike any before it. He didn't merely speculate, he warned. He clearly informed his audience that the long season of waiting was ending, not because of mere emotion, but because the technical execution was demonstrably underway. They've held the line long enough, he said softly. And now, they're ready to let go. Those two concluding words, let go, have rapidly become a rallying cry within the entire dinar world. People have been posting the phrase across all social media platforms, some with tears of relief, others with sheer disbelief, because let go finally mean the long-awaited release of something that has been severely restrained for years, the multi-billion-dollar currency revaluation. However, beyond the emotional surface lies a deeper layer of financial logic. If the entire digital infrastructure is truly ready, if the crucial digital systems between Iraq and key Western banks are already fully linked, then the technical barriers have been completely removed. What remains now is only the final, sensitive timing. And that, Frank powerfully suggested, is precisely what this week is all about. Multiple private contacts connected to international finance have quietly confirmed that over the last 10 days. Specialized third-party firms in both Dubai and London have been conducting extensive live connection tests. These critical tests involve methodically verifying rate feeds, compliance codes, and real-time secure data transfers between Iraq's internal systems and all the global clearing platforms. It is the absolute final rehearsal before official activation. When these international systems sync successfully, it means the entire infrastructure is certified and ready for immediate use. This is not speculation. It is established financial protocol. Similar procedures have been observed in many past international monetary transitions. What makes this time unusual is the sheer, undeniable speed. These tests reportedly began intensely early last week and have continued daily without a single delay. Financial analysts label this phenomenon the quiet before the switch. Each successfully completed test moves Iraq measurably closer to flipping from decades of financial isolation to full global integration. And that is when rates transition from being theoretical to becoming real.